Well, I have to admit it hasn't been the busiest of days. Had some minor numbers of customers. And so I figured after a long hard day of doing stuff and talking to people, I will return my motorcycle back to factory spec. Of course, it requires a beehive tail light assembly off of a Royal Enfield, a fish tail exhaust off of something. I don't know, it's kind of like a Velocette. Oh, let's see, no battery, but I've got a capacitor there that works out really well. K&N filters. What else? Harley-Davidson Mustang fuel tank, factory spec of course. Avon Speedmaster on the front. That's actually an XS, that's hard to say, XS 650 Yami wheel. Because this thing, SR500, came stock with mags. I don't like mag wheels on a motorcycle. Gotta have spokes. Mags suck. But I kind of like this effect with the spoke in the front and the mag in the back. Actually, factory spec for an Earle Moon 500 single is a red rear mag. So I might take that off and paint it red with paint. Of course, I have a Coker, a narrow. Now, I do not like green eggs and ham, nor do I like wide motorcycle tires. I kind of like, you know, Jesse James over Orange County Choppers. I think Orange County Choppers are cartoons. Jesse James and Indian Larry. Good style, good style. Beautiful choppers and bobbers, narrow back wheels, the way it was intended from the beginning of time. Coker. Coker is a good source of wheelage. What else? Returning this great beast to factory spec, of course, from the Earle Moon factory, there is no tach or speedometer. If you can't judge how fast your engine is spinning over just by the sound, you have no business riding a motorcycle. The tank, this is custom, just like a Penton. If you don't know what a Penton is, you don't know what a motorcycle is. Held on with a leather strap. Oh, look at that. So there was some fabrication that had to be done in order to fit this tank on this Yami frame. I mean Earle Moon frame. Dry sump, oil in the frame, and so that's how you check the oil right there. This also comes in handy for those people that don't see you on the road. I'm not going to confirm nor deny that I've ever used that hammer for anything other than loosening my oil cap. Maybe, maybe not. Factory spec requires an hanger de la apronage, and so I'm going to put this back on here because I'm kind of bored. I lowered it, I slammed it a little bit, so it kind of looks nice, although it needs a sissy bar. Someday I may get ambitious and actually weld a hardtail rear end on this thing. I have to admit, our roads are not perfect, so I do appreciate having shock absorbers back there. Although they are not racing quality, they are quality enough. I mean, the theory on wrapping the headers is just to like maintain the heat in there. It's a heat engine. Efficiency is the difference between intake and outtake. Blah, blah, blah. Did it for style. Style counts. No fender on the front. Fenders are for those who are scared of not having fenders. Little skulls on there, that's custom. A lot of custom details on this. I know you say that like I make decent bows, I could also be a motorcycle builder. Actually, this is to the maximum of my mechanical abilities. I am my own mechanic. I don't understand fuel injection, nor will I want to have fuel injection. And so I've got this thing that many of you have never seen one of these in person. This is called a carburetor. It more or less mixes air and gasoline manually. It doesn't squirt it with little motors and pumps. This is the cat's pajamas. What else? Don't need to adjust the valves because they're not ticking. It's got this tricky little thing, a compression release. I probably shouldn't tell anybody that because the secret of starting this thing is to use that compression release. It doesn't have a key. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Don't tell anyone. That on a model such as this, along with a lot of others in the Yamaha range, if you don't have a key, you take this thing off. It's called a headlight, and you just unplug, what do you call those things? You know, the pluggy things, plastic get plugged together. You unplug that thing, the ignition one, and you can start it without a key. Although, modern motorcycles do not have these things anymore. I will never own a motorcycle that doesn't have one of these things. I do not like electric starts on motorcycles. It's way too complex. I like these things. These are called kickstarters. I know I'm being a little silly here. Some of that is that I do not care. I resist. I am a motorcycle modernization resistor. Today's street bikes, they're perfection. But what fun is perfection? You have to have character. I suppose a lot of that is, my pappy was a motorcyclist. He had so many motorcycles. And as a little kid, I used to follow him to all the motorcycle shops. And I remember, I'm simulating being a little kid, looking up at the Moto Guzzi's and the Triumphs and the BSA's, and these were motorcycles. I don't know if they had Ducatis, the motorcycle shops. But you get my drift. They were machines made out of steel that looked like you could still see the hammer marks on the parts. That is what a motorcycle is. The new ones don't have soles. And with that, I'm going to get to work putting my ape hangers on, my apishly hangers, handlebars, and I shall release you from this final formation. I think it's Thursday. They tell me it's Thursday. But here at the Swift, every day is Thursday.